right, so you just started your fitness journey 30 days ago and things were going great and then you stopped. So what happened? That's what we're gonna talk about today. Why is it so difficult for you to sustain an exercise program longer than a month or two? Reason number one that we hear all the time is that there isn't enough time in the day to actually get to the gym. So the first thing that we want to talk about when we're talking to members about something like this is that we have scheduled times in which you come in for your training sessions. If you are training on your own, I would recommend doing the same. You need to schedule your training times 2 or 3 days a week for 30 minutes to an hour, and those are your non-negotiable times at which you exercise. You could talk to your spouse or babysitters about having the exact time at which you won't be around if the kids are your biggest objection to finding time to exercise, because that is the biggest one that we get here at the gym. Also, you may want to find other ways to create time. Look at the course of your day and see if there's a time frame in which you could replace maybe watching television or doing something that isn't necessarily as beneficial as exercise could be for you, and maybe you replace that time with exercise. Number two is that you weren't seeing the results that you expected. This is an issue sometimes because I think we're tricked by mainstream media and infomercials to have an expectation for results that isn't necessarily realistic or sustainable.
But a girl with any real spirit will throw herself wholeheartedly into the battle of the bulges.
What we see in a lot of these members is behavior that we will call all or nothing. So when you first come into the gym, you're coming every day, you're working as hard as you possibly can, and then 2 weeks go by, and then you look back, and if you haven't lost the amount of weight that you objectively selected to try to lose, then you've lost all motivation. Instead of worrying about how much weight you should be losing in the first 14 days, try to set a different numeric goal, and that should be your attendance on a weekly basis. Try to make it to the gym 3 days a week for the first month or two, and then from there we can start setting some further goals. Also, what we tend to see in members that say that they're not seeing the results that they want in the short term is that they'd rather give up than not give 100%. And maybe that works for high school sports, but when it comes to fitness, we want to do something that is more sustainable, that we can continue to progress with over a long period of time. We don't necessarily want to go 100% all out every session, 7 days a week, especially if you're first starting and especially if you haven't trained much recently. Reason number three, it's boring. You've been going to the gym for a couple of weeks and you say, I'm just not excited about this, I'm just gonna stop. I'd make 3 recommendations for someone in this situation. 1, try to change your environment. If historically you've exercised from home, you now see that as a boring place to exercise, I would go try out a gym. Number 2, try to push yourself a little bit more in your exercise routine. Now this is the opposite of the recommendation we made in point number 2, but in this scenario, I think a lot of members end up getting bored when they're not being adequately pushed in their exercise routine. To combat this, try to make the exercises a little bit more challenging. Recommendation number 3, try to monitor your progress a little bit more. So try to record things to see if you're improving on the weights that you're selecting, if you're able to do more work, or if you're improving on some of your cardio exercises and the times that you're getting to a certain distance. It can be very motivating to see yourself actually progress on the performance side of fitness. And having dealt with a lot of these issues, we try to fix these problems every time a member comes in. 1, we try to help them figure out how they can make time to come to the gym and schedule it. Number 2, we try to set realistic expectations for our members in regards to results. We want to see them improve in how they feel, and how their clothes fit, and how their performance is in regards to the weight that they're using and their cardio circuits and some of their exercise bouts. Number 3, we make sure exercise is never boring because we are able to point out the progress that each member has made, and we have a 4-day program for each member. So every time they come in, they get a different experience over the course of those 4 days, and then we try to repeat those days again in which we try to mandate some form of progress. And it's really tough to get bored when you're seeing yourself improve. If you guys have questions regarding some of these reasons in which you're struggling to stay consistent at the gym, feel free to send us an email at james@pratperformance.com.